Good day, everyone. I am coming to you because I am deeply concerned about some news that I received that the federal court had overturned a firing of an ex-director at the Phoenix VA, Sharon Hellman. Sharon Hellman was the center of a huge scandal at the Phoenix VA. There were articles all over the country talking about how they were cooking the numbers on the wait times for veterans waiting for care. Then they estimated that as much as 40 veterans, over 40 veterans, had died as a result of them cooking the numbers.
Now we've uncovered just how far one VA hospital went to hide its outrageously long wait times. 40 veterans died while waiting for care at this hospital. And that would be shocking enough. Keeping them honest though, there is more. A doctor who's left the hospital says that managers were actually keeping two waiting lists. A sham list that made the hospital look like a model of efficiency, and a secret list that showed the deadly reality. Our senior investigative correspondent, Drew Griffith.
It was a plan by top management at this Veterans Hospital in Phoenix, Arizona to hide as many as 1,600 veterans, waiting many months just to get a doctor's appointment. CNN has learned at least 40 veterans left waiting for care. Many who are on that secret list are now dead.
I'm not going to go into the whole video, but Sharon Hellman was at the center of this whole thing going on there at the Phoenix VA. Coming to current times, a federal court has overturned her firing, indicating that it violated her constitutional rights. Why do I have such a problem with this thing? Well, here's the thing. The Veterans Administration, the employees in the Veterans Administration fall under the AFGE, which is American Federation of Government Employees. What's going on is the AFGE over decades have built a bureaucracy within the Veterans Administration that practically render these employees, especially these directors and executives, immune to criminal prosecution. It is almost impossible, practically impossible, to fire these people like this one right here. I'm going to bring it down to the local level. The Muskogee VA Regional Office, the CMP office, Comp and Pension Office, they're the ones that do the evaluations and so forth for disability. Now, I'm finally at 100% permanent and disability. Now, I continue to fight them because of the fact that I still see, to this day, I still see them violating law. I still see them violating, what is written in Article 38. Now, I'm going to play real quick a town hall meeting that I went to. Like I said before, healthcare, Muskogee, Tulsa, I'm very pleased. VDA, the examiners conducting the CMP examinations down there, when it comes to Gulf Wilderness, we've dealt with this before. I talked to you guys before, we corresponded via email, and they finally got my claims corrected. Except for one, CFS still denied. At this point, I was like, you know what, I'm 100% permanent, leave it alone. And again, I'm not going to play the whole video. This was a town hall meeting I attended. It was back in May 2016. And what I brought to Jason McClellan, that's the director right there, Jason McClellan, and the acting director, who happened to be Richard Crockett. So I brought it to their attention the fact that even though they had finally approved my claims, I was still running into veterans' claims where these same examiners, the same examiners that performed this CMP, they were still illegally denying claims of other veterans. Megan Bialas was the first examiner that denied my claims. Edward Sutton is the second one. Now here's the thing about these two individuals. The thing that really angers me is the fact that whenever I go to a doctor's appointment, whenever I go to a CMP appointment, I'm very well organized. As you can see, I always bring my 3-inch binder, and there's sticky tabs to clearly identify specific areas. Now, I brought my binder with me to all the CMP examinations. The CMP examination conducted by Megan Bialas and Edward Sutton. I also provided them with a copy of the Risk Center report. That is the War-Related Injury and Illness Research Center in Washington, D.C. The Risk Center had concluded that I, Glenn Stewart, one each, in fact, suffer from fibromyalgia, CFS, IBS, and several other items. That was in their report. A copy of that report, it's in the binder, a copy of that report was given to the CMP examiners. I also provided a copy of my rheumatologist giving me a diagnosis of fibromyalgia. I provided a copy of my gastroenterologist. I also provided a copy of the CFS report. So all this was documented, actual diagnosis by specialists. Now, I also I printed out with the data at the bottom so that they could see that I had a fresh copy. I provided a copy of the Veterans Administration's own policy when it comes to chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, and so on. So this was put in their hands. A copy of the law, here's a copy of the law. Now I highlighted in red the specific paragraphs that pertain to the presumptive conditions of gulfal illness covered under the law. This was given to both physicians in their hand. The thing with these physicians, what they do, you take, for example, when they deny the claims, they're very clever. They are very strategic. What they will do is they will alter the original diagnosis to something else in order to deny it. Because see, you take, for example, CFS, IBS, or whatever, they have their own ICD codes. It's a 4-digit code identifier for the ailment. Now, if they can reword it and reclassify the ailment as something else, guess what? Now, they can legally deny it. So, in other words, what they do is you take, for example, Edward Sutton. I provided him the copy of my diagnosis for fibromyalgia. However, his conclusion stated that he disagreed with the report from the specialist, that my muscle and joint pain was due to old age. Now that's inaccurate, because I had active duty medical records at age 32 where I was already complaining about muscle and joint pain. And here's the thing. I have a report from a specialist. This is what they do. He's a rheumatologist, and this is his specialty field. However, Edward Sutton, I know what his credentials are. He specializes in pulmonary disease. So how can somebody that specializes in pulmonary disease overturn the conclusion of a specialist in rheumatology? And the same thing goes with Megan Bialas. Megan Bialas is internal medicine. She's not a gastroenterologist. Therefore, she is not qualified to overrule the conclusions done by a specialist. When it comes to CFS, here's the funny part. CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome. This was the conclusion by Megan Bialas. In order to deny me CFS, which to this day is still denied, right? She used a criteria table from a 1988 CDC definition. So she used the criteria table from 1988. Oh my goodness. Were cell phones even invented at that time? 1988. Heck, were we not still roaming around in ponies and buggies and stuff like that? She did not use, there have been several CFS studies. She did not use the Fukuda 1994. She did not use 1998, she did not use the Kansas GWI Steel 2000, she did not use the IOM 2015, CFS Canadian Carothers 2011. Those are more current definitions of CFS. The last time I did a video, Gulf wellness claims were at over 80% denial rate. Now, the last thing that I heard is that instead of going down, they've actually gone up. We are currently now at over 90% denial rate for claims submitted by veterans which are presumptive conditions covered under the law. They are still denying them. After the town hall meeting, I had a separate chat. It was Jason McClellan, Richard Crockett, John C. Chelf, and several others, and they agreed that these doctors performing the CMPs were not following proper protocol. They were not following the training letter that was put out by the VA itself. They were not obeying the law. So they promised me a meeting, right? They gave me their cards. They promised me a meeting to discuss the matters, how to correct this, how to give remedial training and properly get these doctors performing the Gulf wellness examinations to render a proper evaluation. Now, here's my email to Richard Crockett, thanking him for, hey, I'm looking forward to the meeting. And this was followed up by an email by Ron Brown, who happens to be the president of the National Gulf War Resource Center. We were going to have they had agreed to a teleconference with Ron Brown and possibly Mike Jarrett and myself to try to get these matters fixed. Well, here's the thing. I never got a call back. I never got a response on the email. And I know this is a working email because a year prior to this town hall meeting, I had been corresponding back and forth with Richard Crockett on a different matter. We had been corresponding via email. So this email is good. They just chose not to respond back. Now, according to the Muskogee Regional Office website, Jason McClellan is still the regional director. Now, here's the funny thing about Jason. When the walking veteran went down to Muskogee, he went down to Muskogee to have a chat with them, with the people down there. I happened to run into Jason at Muskogee. He was outside. And I explained to him what was going on, that I had ran into different veterans' claims, and these veterans were also being denied the presumptives covered by the law. What do you think Jason did? He turns around, he looks at me, and basically he brushed me off and said, "Oh, I am not in that position anymore. That's not my job." Now, according to the website, he still is. Right? Here's the thing. When you contact these people, when you contact them, right, they will take, during the town hall meeting, they acted like, "Oh my gosh, oh, you're so right, this and that, and blah, 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 and yes, we need to do the right thing, and blah, blah, yada, yada, and yes, here's my card, and email me, and so on." They know what they're going to end up doing. What they do is they delay the response, delay, kick the can down the road, so that by the time you actually encounter them again, guess what? They can reply, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't do that anymore. You got to talk to this person now." So now you're starting the whole process all over again. So, if I have another person, let's say Jacob Nichols. Let's say today Jacob is the director of the regional office. And we have a town hall meeting, and next thing you know, Jacob will come up. This is what the Veterans Administration does. They'll come up and say, "Oh, yes, you're right. We need to fix this." They'll keep on kicking it, delaying. They won't answer the phone. They won't answer the emails. They delay the response. And then if you encounter them again, once again, they'll say, and you ask, "Hey, what happened? I thought we were going to have a powwow. I thought we were going to have a meeting. I thought we were going to fix this." They'll turn around and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm over here in Dallas now. It's not my responsibility, not my job." When it comes to the Veterans Administration, there's a lot of focus being placed on the Secretary of the VA. To be honest with you, I think the previous secretary, they should have left him. Because he was actually, for what I could tell, he was actually trying to get some changes done. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter. You could put Buddha, you could put Jesus Christ, you could put Jehovah God as the secretary of the VA. Nothing is ever going to change because of the AFGE. The Veterans Administration they will continue on their criminal activities. You will not be able to fire these people. You will not be able to push for criminal charges against these individuals and send them to jail or get them fired until the following happens. In order to truly reform the Veterans Administration, the AFGE, we need to disband the Veterans Administration, AFGE. That is the American Federation of Government Employees. This union has created such a deeply embedded bureaucracy that it is impossible to fire or discipline any VA employee caught engaging in wrongdoings or criminal acts. Revoke all laws that grant immunity to VA employees, make it impossible to take any legal actions against them. 3, those caught engaging in wrongdoing need to be held accountable to the full extent of the law, to include jail time. 4, the VA OIG needs to be taken out of the VA control and funding and moved directly under the House Committee of Veterans Affairs. It is illogical to expect the VA, the Veterans Administration's Office of Inspector General, the VA OIG, to properly police the VA when the VA signs their paychecks. That's stupid. I mean, do you really think the VA OIG is going to crack down on the VA if they're the ones that employ them and sign their checks, sign their paychecks? That's stupid. That's an oxymoron. Going back to Sharon Hellman, crap hit the fan. it was determined that at least 40 veterans died because of the way her and her administration handled veterans' wait times. You know, they cooked the books, they had secret numbers, and at least a minimum of 40 veterans died as a consequence of that. They could not get criminal charges, or they could not fire her because of those reasons. They did not have enough ammo in order to go after her for this. So what they got her for was they fired her for receiving gifts, gratuity from her ex-employer, her previous employer with the Veterans Administration, and now reporting it and so on. So they went after, you know, they used a different method in order to fire her. You know, right now you got this crap, you know, where a federal judge basically overturned the ruling and says that her firing was unconstitutional. This woman has 40 deaths. She has blood on her hands. If anything, she should have been charged with negligent homicide. That was negligent homicide. 40 veterans died unnecessarily because of what her and her administration at this hospital did. In my opinion, the Veterans Administration just needs to be thrown in the trash, dismantle it, and, you know, start from scratch. Give veterans cards to, hey, you know what? You have a doctor right here in your town? There you go. Here's your card so you can see that doctor. I need to go see a specialist? Here's your card. Go see that pulmonary specialist. Oh, you need to see a gastro? Here's your card. Go see that gastro. Period. Get rid of this thing. Apparently, they are not going to change. They are not willing to change. They are not willing to reform. You know, they'll crack down on one or two. They'll straighten up. They'll walk the tight and narrow for a little bit. And next thing you know, they're back to the same old crap. Anyway, that's my thoughts on when it comes to this VA crap. I just want to let you know the kind of BS that us veterans are having to go through in order to get proper treatment and to get a just. We're not asking for special treatment. You know, veterans of the First Gulf War that are honestly sick and dying, we're not asking for special treatment. When I see another veteran's claim, and their claim is denied for the exact same reason, and they're using the exact same methods to deny these claims, illegally deny these claims, that's a clear indication they have no intent of reforming. They have no intent to conform. They have no intent to obey the law. So therefore, you know what? Get rid of them. Hope everyone has a good day.